Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. I'm your host, Rudo, joined as always by AJ Hafley. I think we have a little bit of an echo, but hopefully we get that sorted out. We have a special guest on the show today from SinBin's Vegas, Ken Boehlke. Thank you, Ken, so much for coming on. Appreciate you. How is Vegas feeling? Let's start with that. You close out Game 7 over there. Get the job done. Much for coming on. Appreciate you. How is Vegas feeling? Let's start with that. You close out Game 7 over there. Weird.
Here.
Yeah. Appreciate you. How
Hearing you
is
twice.
Vegas feeling? Let's start with that. You close out Game 7. Weird. All right. Technical difficulties.
Nice.
Great start to the show. Ken will be back in a minute, I'm sure. Let's start with the Avalanche then. They have not played in a week.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked about it before. Don't think we're too worried about it, but all right. Are we good now?
We gotcha.
Okay.
I figured out my problem. I'm an idiot.
No.
Did you have YouTube open?
I had you loaded up on the other page. So on my Twitter, I had this. So then I was hearing you twice, and it was an absolute disaster. And then I got super confused, and then you introduced me. It was a nightmare. Hopefully the Golden Knights play better than those first 3 minutes of my introduction there. That was a nightmare.
Of some of the technical difficulties we've had on this podcast, that is not that bad. Trust me.
We survived.
Some of the technical problems we've had over the years have been
wildly difficult to deal with, like hour-long sagas.
That was 100% user error on my end. Like 100% my fault. I accept all responsibility for ruining the entire show 3 seconds into it starting. You're welcome.
Hardly ruin at all. Ken, thank you for coming on, though. I really do appreciate you here. As we were trying to get into, how's the feeling in Vegas right now? You guys close out Game 7 against Minnesota over there, but you only get 1 day off going into this Avs series.
It's interesting because in a sense, it's like relief that like, okay, we didn't blow it. It didn't happen, with the 3-1 thing didn't happen. So like in that sense, that was all last night was. It's like, whew, take a deep breath. It's not 3-1 blown, we're not, we finally got the series. But I think today you're starting to see people start to get into like, oh boy, this is the series we've been waiting for. This is what we wanted. And it's like tomorrow. So yeah, it's. I think they're in a much different spot than where Colorado is because they've been sitting there waiting for this and saying like, here we go. Vegas is more still coming off the high of beating Minnesota and not blowing what could have been an absolute nightmare disaster situation there.
Yeah. Winning is always better than losing, I guess, to simplify that story.
In theory.
Obviously, in Vegas's short life, they're no stranger to the first round 3-1 lead dangers that come and go there. But
have to remind me, huh? Just right off the bat.
Well,
my punishment.
Avs have had their fair share of.
Man. I mean, that's part of the story.
Avs have had their fair share of pain in the second round as well. So. It's the way it goes. I see a couple of super chats coming in here. Thank you very much. As a diehard of both teams, I cannot wait for this series. Ken's coverage of the VGK is unmatched. My 2 favorite podcasts. Much appreciated, Joseph. And then we also have, I know one guy saying, oh boy, yes, I assume intentional by you, Ken, putting it that way specifically.
Yeah.
I tell you, Ken, if the Avs win this series, we'll have to send you a McKinnon Oh Boy shirt to wear.
Oh yeah, we have to do that.
I'll wear it. Do you have them?
Oh yeah.
We could do a little side bet. I'll wear a SinBin Vegas shirt or something if Vegas wins the series.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We got For the Cup shirts.
Sure.
Like it's the FOUR, the cup. That's the idea. It's our 4th year. So yeah, I'm in. Oh boy versus For the Cup. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Nice.
I will take that bet for sure.
I mean, I have to say, we have not exactly been thrilled with Alex Petrangelo's play on the ice. So the
What do you
oh boy
mean?
moment is just another example of us saying oh boy as much as he did.
You mean $8 million for him to basically be Devon Taves?
I think Devon Taves is better.
Yeah, I think he's
Zach
probably been a
Whitecloud's
little
better.
bit better. I love Zach Whitecloud. Don't even get me started
I do
on
too.
that.
Look, White Cloud he's rock solid, but we're really talking about him better than Petrangelo here.
I mean, obviously the role is different. So Petrangelo's been playing in the top role the entire time since he's been here. White Cloud's not going to be a power play option, but Petrangelo doesn't do anything on the power play anyway. So I don't know what good he is being out there for a minute and a half every damn time. But yeah, I mean, for me, there's less mistakes from White Cloud, and in the way the Golden Knights play, in the system that they play, that's all it is. Don't screw it up. And if you screw it up, then you blow game one against the Wild. If you don't, you're Zach Whitecloud.
I guess this is as good a place to start as any, because let's start with special teams, because it's going to be interesting. Colorado finished in the top 10 in both power play and penalty kill. Vegas has a phenomenal penalty kill. Completely erased Colorado's power play in their 8 matchups this year. What is it about the Vegas PK that is so effective?
It's aggressive as all hell. Am I allowed to swear on this?
Oh, yeah.
Go off.
Okay, it's aggressive as shit. Like, they attack the second you are under any pressure, they attack. And anytime your back's to the goal, anytime the puck is bobbled, anything that they can get, they attack. And they've become very, very good at cutting the ice in half and attacking with 2 players and then ending up giving you either one option or no options. It's really, really hard to figure out exactly where your pressure relief points are. And I think it takes teams quite a while to figure out. But the one concern I have is Minnesota figured it out. And their last 3 power plays, they were electric on those 3 because they figured out exactly what the Golden Knights were doing and they ripped it apart. And so the question is, are the Golden Knights going to adjust? Are the Golden Knights going to kind of stick with the same thing and hope that maybe the film disappears into thin air? Or will they figure out their adjustments and go a different way? But I think this is a very, very difficult power play to deal with. Entering is super hard because they have great sticks at the blue line. They're really good on gaps and they can all skate. So it's a good penalty kill, and I think it's done very well against Colorado. I think for Colorado, the issue is going to be mainly setting up. Once they're set up, I think they'll be able to deal with the pressure.
Yeah, the entry is
certainly no hope for Unit 2 when it comes down to the entry.
let's just call it an adventure to describe Colorado's power play zone entries. If you see Unit 2, you'll watch Andre Burakovsky go flying through the neutral zone, and it's going to look great. And then he's going to hit the blue line, and one of 2 things is going to happen. He's immediately going to get stripped, or it's going to get poked away, and he's going to be 3 feet away from the puck as it goes the other direction. And it's just going to be a disaster because that's just
the power kill.
Yeah, that's just what it's been for a while now. But that's the second unit. The first unit, who knows? Their entry is all over the place. They change it every game, and it looks like they change it every game. So,
well, I thought it was interesting against St. Louis because they moved away significantly from Nathan MacKinnon for whatever reason. And I do wonder if that was to hide it a little bit for the Vegas series, because we've seen a lot of all season long. If the Avs need an entry, it's going to MacKinnon.
Well, yeah. Well, MacKinnon's a zone entry,
machine,
a controlled zone entry monster. He's one of the best in the NHL at it. It's just a unique ability that he has to get into the zone. The problem is that at 5v5, it's quite different because they are, you're attacking the net when you get into the zone. Everybody, the way that everybody's moving, and then on a power play, you're trying to set something up. So he gets in there and then he just stops 10 feet inside the zone and is like, all right, well, now I'm going to defend myself because I'm no longer a threat to continue moving forward and trying to score. And with the really aggressive PK like what Vegas has. They force you to make a play.
Right.
They force you to execute, and if they don't, they punish you.
You won't have the room to just pull up and sit there. Yeah,
especially with Mark Stone, who's just an absolute ninja with the stick and yeah, the guy. It's ridiculous. Like what coming from going against Ryan O'Reilly, like it's great prep because it's a different level.
He's unreal.
Yeah, like it's like Mark Stone is just like, okay, well, now you got to deal with this guy. And then you have you have Chandler Stevenson who's just brings the speed element. It's I think that matchup is going to be really, really, really important in the series because 5v5 these are pretty even teams. And so if you get into the special teams, especially if they call a lot of penalties and each team is getting 3, 4, 5 power play chances, I think that's going to be a big feather in the Vegas cap, is that their PK has just eaten Colorado's power play up.
I'm not as confident as you are in it for Vegas because I don't think the Golden Knights power play is any threat at all, unfortunately, for Vegas. And so even if they eat up the Colorado power play, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. Like if I were to guess over the course of the series, you're probably looking maybe one team gets one bonus goal one way or the other over a 6 or 7 game series. Like this isn't the Tampa situation where it's like, well, they're going to be +7 against Florida. So, or whatever it was, I don't know what it actually ended up being, but it felt like that. I feel like they're both probably going to have a hard time scoring in the power play. So whether they call a bunch of penalties or not, it's just how much we get to see 5-on-5. And you seem a little higher on Vegas's chances at 5-on-5 than I do.
I think it's even-ish. Colorado just put up one of the greatest 5-on-5 seasons that we've seen in the last 14 years of recording of certain statistics. It's not lost on me that Colorado was phenomenal at 5-on-5 this year. It's just that I think these are the two best teams in the NHL this year. And so talking about it as a second round matchup kind of feels dirty, but it's also like this was destiny from the moment they realigned the divisions.
I will say, I do think with Pacioretty being back for Vegas, he does seem to have a little bit of the Avs number, especially when it comes to special teams as Vegas's finisher for them. That's over regular season statistics. Obviously, the playoffs is a bit of a different beast, but I do wonder. At times, the Avs penalty kill is a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde. Are we going to see the quality penalty kill where they're blocking shots effectively, where they're in the correct positions, or are we going to see the scrambly mess that we saw at times near the end of the regular season? So,
given how focused they were against St. Louis, like the PK looked as good as it has all year. No David Perron really helped because they could just eliminate one side of the ice because Tyler Bozak sucks. So there was no like, oh, we're worried about Tyler Bozak. And as soon as St. Louis realized that the Avs were selling out to cut off the Mike Hoffman option, they adjusted to trying to feed Ryan O'Reilly in the middle, which gave them nothing also. I think Vegas has more dangerous options and more versatile options. I don't know why their power play is not better.
I can answer that question.
Great. That's what you're here for. So
they don't have a plan.
Okay.
They come in with no plan. Their entries are actually decent. They're pretty good at winning the draws off the beginning of it, but they don't have a plan A. And the issue is their main idea is let's just get into this umbrella. Let's just fan it around, and then we'll see if that cross-seam pass ever opens, and it never will because the other guys know that's the only thing they're trying to do. And unless Pacioretty's in there, and even when Pacioretty's in there, just like he's not Ovechkin. So if you get that shot and you still know it's coming, it's not necessarily going to go in. You know it's coming. Grubauer's going to get over there and stop it. So because that's kind of a portion of the game, they don't really rely on that, knowing that that's not going to end up in goals all that often. So what they're trying to do most of the time is just stretch the penalty kill out, and teams just won't do it. And so instead, they just pass it around the umbrella the entire time, and somebody eventually gets to hearing the guy in the crowd yelling shoot and says, oh, that's a good idea, and they rip it. And really, it's shocking how little movement there is. Like, having watched enough Colorado, the movement that you see from McKinnon is completely foreign to what the Golden Knights power play looks like.
So this has been a fun thing to watch this year.
Very
alone.
new development for Colorado.
Yeah, this has not been the case in the past, where Nathan McKinnon would stand in where Ovechkin does, and he would just hang out. This year, McKinnon moves all around.
Yeah,
constant. He's all over the place. Now, a lot of times he will set up in that normal spot where right-handed guys set up for the one-timer, but the guy's all over the place, and they find some success with it because that's what you want to do. You want, like, if you're a penalty kill, you want to shut down Nathan McKinnon. So it makes sense to have him move around a lot, and I think that it's been a fun wrinkle to watch. I'm curious how those two match. I'm curious how those two how they clash, how that ends up, that the Colorado power play, which was awesome against St. Louis, against the Vegas PK, I think is going to be one of our key matchups.
I don't expect them to key in on McKinnon as much as what I think other teams would do. I think they're going to I think they're just going to more rely on how they normally kill, and that's just trying to cut the ice in half. And that was the piece that, if you watch the last three, I highly recommend this. Watch the last three power plays that Minnesota had. They scored goals on two of them, and they were real dangerous on the middle one. There was the one last night, there were two last night, and then the one in the game before. They realized that winger comes up the ice to try to cut the ice in half, and instead of making the pass back up to the top of the slot, they came into the bumper. The bumper guy comes up, they hit that guy, and it relieves the entire thing. I'm very interested to see how often they can get McKinnon in that spot to relieve the pressure, because then he's going to make a good decision there, even better than the Fialas and Kaprizovs and these types of guys that the Golden Knights just went up against. I think there's something there, but I expect Vegas to kind of change a little bit of how that was going, because it just became too obvious, and they got smoked three power plays in a row after being, I think it was 8 in a row before that.
Okay. I do want to get into some of the positional matchups as well, but we do have to take our first period break first. So we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can get 8 of them on tap down at the DNVR bar, and also check out local liquor stores near you. Use the Breck Beer Locator online to find it. We're also brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee, the CBD infused coffee that has really changed lives. It's been known to help with many different aches and pains, including migraines, IBS, joint pain, and other things as well. You can get 25% off when you use code DNVR25 on your first checkout with them. Or another product you can get at the DNVR bar, cold brew down there. Come check it out. Saw a little glimpse of it today. It is absolutely bumping for the Nuggets game. Full house over there. It's like, it was that full like 2 hours before the game. So if you're coming down for the Avs game on Sunday, come early. Just gonna say come early, and support us here at DNVR. Consider signing up for an annual membership that helps us out big time, obviously, as that directly supports us, and you get all the amazing content that we provide. AJ's awesome post games and written pieces, Evan's grades, all of that type of thing. And also check out Ken down at SinBin's Vegas, because they do awesome stuff. If you have any interest in the Vegas Golden Knights, highly recommend you check them out. All right. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's start at the back. Let's start with the goaltender matchup here. Philip Grubauer versus presumably Fleury, but Leonard is also an option if needed.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Fleury. There's some chatter that it could potentially be Leonard tomorrow, just because they've played so much and they have an opportunity to get Leonard in there. I would guess they do not do that. I would imagine they're going to stick with Fleury, and it'll be Fleury until he has to come out.
Don't do it. You're going to put that man in cold. It's not going to go well.
I would agree with you. Although I thought there was a chance they were going to put him in cold in Game 7. I'm actually still surprised they didn't.
Boy, that would have been spicy.
I just can't believe they took the risk of going through a 7-game series against a team they're supposed to be better than and went with the same goalie the entire time. They could have gone out of the postseason with $5 million on the bench, never seeing the ice. I'm shocked they took that risk and it paid off. Good for them.
This is the problem that they face with having $12 million in goaltending is that when you get into the postseason,
it's useless.
So one of those guys is sitting. You know, it was like Colorado had a backup goaltender problem all season long, and now they get into the postseason. It's like, well, that's irrelevant.
Yep. And Vegas,
if Grubauer gets hurt, they're screwed. But that's a big like what if, right?
I mean, yeah, there's you just pack it in if Grubauer takes the injury, I think, for the most part. But I mean, who has the edge here? Because let's be real, Fleury had an unbelievable year in the regular season, and it did take 7 games, but you know, Vegas lost a couple of close games that it certainly can't pin all of the blame on Fleury there.
To me, Vegas has the edge there. I think it's probably Vegas's biggest spot. Like you got a Vezina quality goalie, you got a Vezina quality backup. They won the Jennings Trophy. They both were phenomenal. I mean, Fleury's, if Vegas were to go on to win the cup, he's probably winning Conn Smythe too. So I think they're in a good spot with the goalie. And even if they do have to make the switch, and I would imagine the switch would actually probably be made because the skaters in front of them fail the goalie as opposed to the goalie failing them. Plus, I would argue that Vegas is going to need some spectacular saves in this series. They don't need the routine save. They're going to need some spectacular ones. Fleury's more likely to do that than Leonard. So I think they're in a good spot having Fleury in there. I think Fleury is the better goalie in this series. I think even if Leonard goes in, he's better than Grubauer. I'm not like down on Grubauer horribly. I just think that the Vegas goalies are both better.
AJ, do you have a counter argument here?
I will say, for $12 million, one, you would better goddamn win the Jennings. And
it was so worth it.
For $12 million, you only gave the Vegas only gave up 10 fewer goals than the Avs. And that's with the Avs getting 0 games played out of their actual backup goaltender this year. So had Frankie been in there, to be honest, I don't know that Vegas still wins that Jennings.
You put that more on goalie than skaters in front of them? Because I think Colorado's defense is better than Vegas's.
I watched 5 Hunter Miska starts, bro. I absolutely 100% put that on the goaltenders.
It's fair.
So that guy was rough. He just wasn't ready. He got put in a bad spot and it showed. And anyway, I would say going into the series, like, look, if you count the depth chart, yeah, Vegas has an obvious advantage. Head to head, though, I don't think Robin Leonard is any better than Phil Grubauer is today, this year. Marc-Andre Fleury, when he's absolutely at his absolute best, totally. I give the advantage to Fleury. This is also the best we've ever seen out of Phil Grubauer. So, you know, I think it's a small edge, but if the series comes down to 1 extra save, I give it to Fleury. I give it to Vegas in that.
But as both of you were alluding to, Grubauer has gone through a decent portion of this season and even a couple of the first round playoff games facing around 20 shots a game because of the Avs defense. So you take a look at the two defenses, and we kind of already talked about Pietrangelo, but on the surface, the top of Vegas's defense is quite strong. The Avs just have a ridiculous amount of defensive high-end depth. When you talk about their top 4, there are teams in the league that would probably have Devon Toews, if not on their top pairing, certainly flirting with it. So in my mind, I definitely think the Avs have the advantage as the defense as a whole, but I do wonder about the matchup. As you kind of already mentioned with their PK, Ken, they are also extremely aggressive on the forecheck. So we're going to see the Avs get tested on the breakout, and I'm not as confident there. What are your expectations for Vegas's aggressive forecheck against the Avs' defensive breakout?
I'm really interested to see how the Golden Knights attempt to play this series. Because the way that I feel like it's supposed to go, which is both teams want 40 shots and the other team takes 18, like that's the goal for both teams. That's not happening. Everyone knows that's not happening because that's physically impossible. So what I'm guessing is both teams are going to play the exact same style where they are willing to dump it in, get it on the forecheck, and then the opposing team is just going to break it out. They're going to dump it in, get it on the forecheck, and they're going to break it out. I think it's just going to be breakout after breakout after breakout and not a lot happening. And I'm wondering which team deals with frustration better because they're both really good going back, getting pucks, breaking out. And while the forechecks are both good and can break things down, I think there's something to be said about there's going to be moments, I think long stretches in this series where nothing happens. Like just nothing's going on. And I'm very interested to see which team screws up more often to change that nothing going on.
And this is where I think the Braden McNabb being out is going to be a really big factor here because that puts Nick Holden in the lineup. And
up the lineup.
Nick Holden, Patrick Nemeth. Who's throwing more grenades in this series? Because I think it's going to be a big factor here. The other thing that I think that may not be a game one problem for Vegas, but becomes a problem at some point is Bowen Byram's going to play in this series. And what we saw from Bowen, if Bowen Byram just shows up and he's exactly who he was in the regular season, it's a really big problem for Vegas because he would bring a dynamic element to that third pairing that doesn't exist. Like even with Connor Timmins at his best, it just does not. Byram's ability to skate pucks out, it changes how you can attack him because St. Louis tried over and over and over to go with the puck up and over Colorado's defense. Okay, make him turn around and then go in hard on the forecheck and go and get him. This didn't matter that much. And if you add Byram into there, it's only going to get worse. That breakout's only going to get easier. It's only going to get more efficient. It's just Byram might low-key be like the X factor, like the true wild card in this series that could change everything because whenever Jared Bednar decides to use him, I don't know why it wouldn't be game one, but that's why he's paid to do what he's doing and I'm paid to do what I'm doing. I think it's going to be an important factor though because his skating ability and his just raw puck skill. Look, I like Nick Hague. I like Zach Whitecloud. I really like the Vegas defense as a whole. But when it comes to moving pucks, there's one team that is absolutely phenomenal at it and another team that's just pretty good. And Vegas is I think a more well-rounded, bigger, more classic playoff style defense, a little more physical. But it's not 2010 anymore. It's not the year 2000 anymore. Moving pucks is the key to everything. If you can efficiently do that and you can effectively do that, you're going to win a lot of games. And you throw Bowen Byram in there and you limit the number of times that Patrick Nemeth is allowed to touch the puck, Colorado's defense suddenly just does not have very many weak points in it. Ryan Graves on any given day, you just don't know. You get the Ryan Graves from the St. Louis series, the Avs are thrilled to give that man $3 million. You get the Ryan Graves from a lot of this regular season, Vegas would be thrilled to give him $3 million to play for the Avs because it's been that frustrating with Graves. He's just been that day and night. If he plays well, You get into Colorado's third pairing, there's just very few weaknesses on that defense for Vegas to really attack, to hone in on. You're hoping that Devon Taves or Cale Makar or Sam Girard does something dumb. And if that's your game plan, hope that 3 of the league's best defensemen this season don't play well. It's not a game plan. It's a prayer.
Yep. I completely agree. First of all, let me respond to one of the things you said in there, which is they're paid to do that and we're paid to do this. That doesn't mean they're right. That's important. The Golden Knights have been wrong the entire season about Ryan Reeves. They should never have been playing him. They should have never played him in Game 7. He takes a dumb penalty. He should have been a major. Nonetheless, they should have never been playing Cody Eakin last season and the year before and the year before. And all doesn't mean they're right. Even if Patrick Nemeth plays, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Just watch our chat when I mention the name Shane Bowers. There's definitely some feelings about some guys at the bottom of the Avs line up the same way there.
I gotta go.
But so we've talked a lot about the Avs' depth on the defense. I think we've kind of skirted the question mark of how much of an impact can Cale Makar have for the Avalanche as the top defenseman on the team. Let's call it what it is. He is the guy who drives a significant amount of offense. Yes, we'll get to McKinnon in the top line for both teams in a bit, but when offense comes from the back end, a whole lot of that is Cale Makar.
Yeah.
So it's tough for me, right? Because as Vegas, you're not really game planning on how to shut down a defenseman for the most part, but is there any theories that they have there, or is the focus more on looking at the top line and things like that?
To me, it's limiting how much ice Makar has to skate in. And the way you do that is you don't turn the puck over in stupid places. When you're making your turnovers in the offensive zone, make sure they're shots heading towards the back glass. Don't pass the puck back to your neutrals, back to the blue line. Don't have these mistakes. And the problem is, while the Golden Knights play stretches of that, and when they're committed to that, they're very dangerous, specifically in third periods. If they have a lead and they decide you're not getting the puck with any space, you won't the entire time. It's probably their best skill. They have to come with that mentality the entire series. And it doesn't matter whether they're up or down or whatever is going on. They have to continue with that mentality. And I just don't think they're going to be – I don't know if it's mentally strong enough or what it is. I just don't trust they're going to be able to stick to that. Like, Makar's going to get his opportunities. McKinnon's going to get his opportunities. They're going to catch bad matchups at different times, and Vegas is going to force the puck through the neutral zone because they're going to get sick of dumping the puck in over the top of them and losing the races. So is Colorado. They're going to have the same problem. They're going to try. Their guys are going to be standing up at the blue line all series long. And the only way to go past them, because turnover kills you, so let's not do that. Let's get it in deep and then go see what happens. And it's going to be over and over and over again that the puck will go in deep, the other team will break it out without any problem, and there will just be frustration. Like, I wonder which team is going to struggle on that first. And I think Makar is a massive key to taking advantage of those moments if Vegas decides, fuck this, we're going for it, and tries to go through them. Then you get the break the other way.
Well, I think that's where Colorado has maybe its biggest advantage, is that McKinnon is the best player in the series.
Yep.
He's a top 3 player in the NHL. If he's going, sometimes there's just nothing you can do. And if Cale Makar, like, you hope, Rudo and I mentioned this earlier this week, but you hope, if you're Vegas, you hope that Cale Makar in a 7-game series, you hope Cale Makar has 2 Cale Makar games, and the other 5 are survivable.
Yeah. Because
if he has the big Cale Makar games, if he gets multiple of those, the Avs very rarely lose those games because they're just different. They're just special.
Yep.
And that's where I think Colorado, that's why I've liked this matchup from day one, from the start of the season, is that Colorado's high-end talent is just higher.
And why I hate the matchup.
2 great teams but there's no answer at center on Vegas's entire roster. Chandler Stevenson has been a godsend, filling a top 6 role for them. William Karlsson gets a little worse every year, but is still really good.
Don't you go speaking bad on William Karlsson.
The guy's really good. He gets just a little worse every year, but like he's
role.
He's one of the league's better 2Cs. Where Colorado's going to have their problem is, what is life without Nazem Kadri like?
Yeah,
because that was a huge advantage for the Avs. Center just going down the middle. They could just check box. Oh, that guy's better. That guy's at least as good. That guy's better. All the way down through all 4 lines. And without Nazem Kadri, that's not true anymore. Nathan McKinnon's still a big advantage. Tyson Jost, in the form that he has played, a great step forward. P.E. Belmar seems to actually give a shit this postseason. He was awesome against St. Louis. If he can continue to be that guy, the 4th line is going to be rock solid. The big question is what is life like without Nazem Kadri?
And I do want to get further into this, but before we jump into the forward talk, we have to take our second period break, as we are brought to you all by Hassel Cattle Company. You can get some damn good beef from Hassel. Go on, try their Wagyu beef burger. I got it correct. Down at the DNVR bar, because our partners are awesome and we seem to have everything available down at the DNVR bar these days. But also order from HassleCattleCompany.com and get yourself some of the best meat out there. Their Wagyu is awesome. They also have amazing beef jerky and pretty much every other meat under the sun as well. Down at DNVR, we always get the group order going. You get free shipping if you use $200. So round up a bunch of people, everyone order their favorite steaks, and you're good to go. And get 10% off when you use code DNVR at checkout. Also brought to you by Solace Meds, 4 different locations in Colorado, one up north in Fort Collins, a couple here in Denver, and they also have a few out in Oklahoma. If you happen to be there, you can get 20% off online when you use code DNVR with them as well. But highly recommend you check them out on Memorial Day coming up here. They have great deals for the holidays, including some buy 3, get 1 free deals on select products and other things as well. So check them out, get your stuff, enjoy it. It's kind of the best. I love all of the deals we have here at DNVR. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but like, even compared to when I started here to where we are now, the deals that we have are kind of dope. So yeah, check out our partners. Highly recommend. All right, let's get into this third period conversation. The forward cores here, as AJ's having a giggle.
Oh, this comment from Samuel just kills me. Find Martinez. Find Shane Theodore. Where's that Mark Stone at? Give it to him. Like,
that's what it is. He's not wrong.
YOLO.
He's not wrong. And like I saw somebody else's comment was like, when your best plan is to give it to Alec Martinez, you don't have a plan. That's exactly right.
Well, I will tell you, Alec Martinez was one of the 3 Golden Knights allowed to score against Colorado this year. It was Martinez,
Pacioretty,
and Pacioretty. Those 3 were the ones that did all the damage against the Avs this year. I was like, Jesus. Just these 3 guys are winning them games.
Who is the new 3C? Is it New Hook?
Every shift, it might be a different player.
It's really right now. JT Compher is taking Kadri's spot as 2C. Jost is 3C. Belmar still 4.
And
New Hook
playing on the wing. Yeah.
The bottom 2 are better than Nick Waugh and Patrick Brown.
Patrick Brown sucks.
That's my point. I like Pat. He's a good guy. Patrick Brown's an awesome dude, but he's not very good.
Yeah.
And like Nick Waugh, while he was good against Minnesota, like, come on. This is the playoffs.
The problem with the Avs center depth is, look, right now Tyson Jost has been great. I have no real problems with the way he's playing, and we've seen the production come up. But certainly with Belmar, you put that guy out on the ice, and you're just not expecting any offense. Full stop.
I mean, the fourth line didn't do it. Offensively.
How often do they start them in the offensive zone?
more often than I would like.
Yeah.
We have the same problem. Ryan Reeves gets like 70% offensive zone starts.
Yeah, well, if you had Ryan Reeves and you were icing him, why would you give him a D zone start?
Why are you icing him?
Yeah, well, I mean that's a like more fundamental question, right?
Because every game 7 needs a 5-minute major. That's the Golden Knights' plan.
Yeah. So, do you think there should have been a fine or a suspension for the cross check on Suter?
No fine or suspension, but it should have been 5 minutes in game. Like it's interference, it's violent, and the guy gets hurt. Like I don't know. To me, if that's Zach Whitecloud's face going into the side of the post, I'm freaking out asking for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's honestly
pretty predatory.
It's crazy, but I honestly believe they didn't call 5 minutes because they knew Vegas has had 2 5-minute majors in their last game 7. I think that's why they didn't do it.
We've had our fair share of conspiracies. Wow, I can't talk. Ref conspiracy theories on this show. So
I mean, Wes McCauley never put anything past that guy. He might be funny, but he also is a ref.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the hit, to be honest. I'd have been perfectly fine with them calling it a major, but
it was so dangerous and unnecessary.
It's reckless.
Honestly, the part that shocked me is that Suter didn't even go back down the tunnel, but
that didn't shock me. That dude bases his whole entire identity on being the tough guy that never misses a shift.
I mean, I understand that part of it, but if you're a concussion spotter and you see a dude get his head rammed into the crossbar, you don't think...
Yeah, that's fair.
Have those in this league?
Allegedly.
Not in the games I watch.
It seems like the Avs are on the receiving end of those of the spotter calls a lot.
Yeah.
We don't see a lot of that.
In any case, since we're kind of on this topic, how is not having Peyton Krebs that big of a deal?
No.
Okay.
He played 3 games. He was fine. He's probably a better option than some of the options they have at the bottom of the lineup. Patrick Brown, Reeves, Kolazar, Carrier, these types of guys. But they weren't going to do that. He was going to take the spot of where Janmark is right now. So I don't even know that he would be in the lineup if he was healthy anyway right now.
How's Janmark been outside of the Game 7 hat trick? Obviously,
he's an interesting case because like you watch him every game and you're like, damn, this dude can skate. This dude's in on the forecheck. He plays direct to the goal. He's everything you want. And then you look and it's like, wait, how long have they had him and he didn't score yet? He had 1 goal, none. Last night was his first goal against a goalie for the Golden Knights. That was it. He's got 2 now, and then he gets another empty netter for the hat trick. I just saw his name on a list with Wayne Gretzky for like Game 7 hat tricks, and I'm like, okay, hockey.
A little out of place there.
Yeah, hockey, love it. But it's like he's fine as a third line left wing with Tuck driving the offense on the line and Wah playing at his best. That's a decent third line to a good third line. I think it's good enough that could be a spot where the Golden Knights could potentially take advantage with Kadri out of the series. But to me, the top 6 is just such a nightmare for Vegas. And then the fourth line, the Vegas fourth line, if they're out there against anyone but Belmar, like I'm going to have my eyes closed, terrified. Where I think if Belmar's out there against any of the Golden Knights lines, it's not the end of the world.
He's defensively responsible.
He's good.
You definitely
don't understand why they give him away. Here, you can. We don't need him.
I'm curious where Alex Newhook slots into this one because he brought a dynamic element to the ice when he played that just doesn't exist when you have guys like Jason Magna. Kiefer Sherwood. Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah.
I think that there's an interesting conversation there about Vegas's forward lines. How flexible are they? How dead set are they in keeping them together? Because especially with Kadri out, the Avs just the bottom 9 is it's going to be a mix.
Vegas's top 9's not going anywhere. If they're healthy, that's what it is. I was shocked because we started talking about how maybe they rip apart what we call it the misfit line. It's the 3 guys that were there from the beginning that have been there the whole time: Marchessault, Carlson, and Smith. the entire season, they ripped that line apart like 5 times on purpose in a 56-game season against the worst division in the history of the sport. Like, why not try that? The answer is because they know it's not going to be better. We're not getting better than this. So that line's set. There's no way Stone and Pacioretty are coming apart. They don't have another answer to go in between them other than Stevenson, so he has to play there. That leaves Tuck as an overflow, so he has to play right wing on the third line. Wah or Noshik, that's really the only switch you can potentially see if Noshik suddenly is healthy, which I'm doubting because I haven't seen him skate. And even him, it's not going to make a huge difference. It's him or Wah in the center, and then Janmark's going to get the left spot. Like, there's really not a lot that's going to change. I think the Golden Knights could be down 3-0 in the series and still roll out the same top 9.
How healthy is Max Pacioretty?
He's not.
Is it upper or lower body? I don't actually have any idea.
From the information that I have, it's directly in between.
Middle body. Got
That's
it.
the best. Yeah. I don't really have it on good enough authority to go all the way and say exactly what I believe it is. But if it is what I believe it is, I don't know whether you call it upper or lower body. And it's not an injury you suddenly are miraculously better from. Like, I don't believe it was a concussion, which somewhere that's gotten into the discussion, and I don't really know where that came from. I don't think it's that. I think it's a physical injury, and I don't think he's healthy. I don't think he's fully healthy. I don't think he played all that well last night. Scored the game-winning goal. I don't think he played that well.
This is the thing I think that has happened in the hockey world now, is that when a guy is sort of day-to-day with a lingering injury of some kind,
must be a concussion.
Everybody just attaches a concussion to it now because they're just like, oh, well, you never know, right?
Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah, and it just gets like the Avs have like 4 guys with concussions who are out right now because we just haven't seen them in 3 months.
Well, and then the Golden Knights actually had a guy with a concussion. They didn't say it was a concussion, and everyone claimed he was in rehab. So,
yikes.
How does that go?
Speaking of guys who had concussions, I talked a little about Bowen Byram already. What's up with Keegan Colasar?
Oh, boy.
What do you mean, what's up with Keegan Colasar? Are we talking about the hit or what?
Yeah, I mean, what's up with that, man?
Keegan Colasar is a player that relies on doing shit like that. Like, he wants to live on the line, and he's done a pretty darn good job of not crossing the line. That one probably crossed the line, but if I remember right, he got away with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't...
A major point of contention from the Colorado side is Nazem Kadri gets 8 goddamn games.
Wow, he's a different animal.
And, like, I get it's a more complicated conversation, but he gets 8 games in a sea of headshots that have hurt guys.
Yeah.
And guys have gone out and they've missed significant time. And it's like, Bowen Byram hadn't played a game in 2 months.
Go ahead, show the clip. Do you have it?
And
We don't have the clip,
it's
unfortunately.
a really good way for YouTube to pull us for them to get mad at us.
That's fair. I remember it. It's in my mind. To me, like, Keegan Colasar is not out there to do dirty stuff. Like, I really don't think he's a dirty player, but I think he knows his role and his impact is going to have to be playing physical and winning on forechecks with his body. He plays that same style. He's a lot better at it than a lot of the guys the Golden Knights have. Reeves, Brown, I think even in some ways Carrier. He's a good forechecker. He plays that way. He's just not that good at this point in his career, and he can't score. At the moment, he's out of the lineup. So right now, you don't have to worry about it. He's not even in the lineup at the moment.
The number of odd man rushes I watched Keegan Colasar blow this year was comical.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's not good.
It's like, if you could finish these, man, you'd be it reminded me a lot of Matt Nieto's time in Colorado, where he got lots of scoring chances and just botched them.
There's a feeling, I think every team has a player like this where you see them on the breakaway and you realize it's them and you just go, oh, this isn't going in.
Yeah.
So
you just don't even get excited about it. You see that guy's number and you're like, oh, God, how's he going to screw this one up? Is it at least going to be a shot on goal?
In most cases with him, no. Or at least it's jammed directly into their pads. Speaking of things that you don't have to worry about, because I'm sure you guys haven't studied the Golden Knights nearly as much as I have, when William Carrier has the puck and wraps it around the goal, it looks way more dangerous than it is, and the analytics love it. It's like 0.42 expected goals. He's never scored on one in his career. Not one ever.
So this will
could be said for Cale Makar's wraparound.
This is a fun Cale Makar thing because he has started to figure out that teams are preventing him from doing the little toe drag to the inside and embarrassing all of their guys like he did in Minnesota last year. And so he just started cutting around the net and trying with these wraparound chances. It looks really, really good until he has to actually put the puck home, and then it's just adventure time.
Keep skating, bud. I say the same thing about Carrier. Stop jamming it into his pads. Keep skating. Wait for the open lane. They're gonna have to come apart. Like that wraparound play, unless it's wide open, it's not gonna work because these guys, the goalies are too good down low. Their pads are on the ice. It's not going in like ever.
It's unless you get them to overcommit to the near side or something, it's just too tough. But
good luck doing that with Fleury.
Fleury.
He'll look like he's overcommitted and then dive
still
back.
Get back somehow. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the X factor on the Avs side.
That's the save that changed the NHL.
Yeah.
There was another one that looked a lot like it that changed the Golden Knights' history, but I don't want to talk about that one.
Give me an X factor for Vegas. Who is the surprise series changer for Vegas's side?
That's a good question because I think it's going to come down to the guys that need to do what they do are going to have to do what they do best. Like, so you're going to have to get offense from Mark Stone consistently. Pacioretty's going to have to score. I think you're going to need more from Theodore. Petrangelo's offense, I guess, is kind of an X factor because the Golden Knights really haven't gotten it all year. But it's hard to say, oh, the $8.8 million guy's scoring, that's an X factor. Like, that's kind of a cop-out bullshit answer. Like, Tuck has always, like, they literally called Tuck the X factor in the playoffs last year. DeBoer did. I don't think that's the case anymore. Janmark, I think, blew his load there in Game 7, so I'm going to not go with him. I don't know. I mean, I guess the best answer would be that second line or the misfit line or whatever you want to call it. I think that line has the ability to win on both ends of the ice. And if they're putting pucks in the net, the Golden Knights become a much more dangerous beast. If they're not, good luck.
I think it's the same guy for both teams. I think it's Jonathan Marchessault and Andre Burakovsky. Because your top lines, you expect your top lines are going to give you what they're going to give you. Your top defenders are going to give you what they're going to give you. Best on best, if you can win best on best, you're obviously in great shape. But it's what happens beyond that so frequently will determine a series. Yeah. Now we saw against St. Louis, best on best was enough because Ryan O'Reilly's a bitch who got devoured. That was great. That was extremely enjoyable to watch. I don't know that happens in this series, so it's going to come down to who's next. And I think it's going to be Marchessault, and I think it's going to be Burakovsky. If either one of those guys are locked in and they're at their best, it just adds a whole other element to what each team can realistically accomplish.
Who is more likely to be at their best, in your opinion?
They're the same guy, like they'll go through stretches where they're really, really good. Yeah, I love Burakovsky, but when he disappears, like there's
a ghost. Yeah,
very little happens.
Yeah, Donskoy scares me more than Burakovsky, to be honest.
Not me, man.
Yeah, that dude is.
I tell you,
even streakier.
You'll see. Yeah. Donskoy is maybe the streakiest player in the NHL. When he's hot, seriously, just look out. It's gonna get big up in here. But when he's not, very, very, very little happens. And with Compher in between them, look, Comfort has proven time and time again he is not a play-driving center. He is purely a passenger. He's much better as a wing. I have absolutely zero confidence that with that guy in the middle of them that they're not a donut. The third line, I think the third line matchup is actually going to be fascinating because it's kind of they're kind of the same thing. Like Nichushkin is your elite defensive guy. Tyson Jost can do a little bit of everything for you, and Brandon Saad is the answer to Alex Tuck.
Yep.
I think it might come down to who gets the best of that matchup because they're really so similar.
Is this high scoring or low scoring for the most part?
Every time I think low scoring, I remember that nothing in the Avs has ever been low scoring. They even against Dallas last year, somehow that series was 5-4 every game.
You can't go back. You already picked the under for tomorrow.
You did.
Oh, I'm still picking the under for tomorrow because I think Vegas will be tired and I think Colorado will be rusty, and I think that has like 3-1, 3-2 written all over it, if not even less than that. But the series as a whole, I think
Fireworks.
I think we'll probably see a solid 6-ish goals per game. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, I think it's gonna be way lower. Closer to 4.
Ooh, God, please don't be 4.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be weird and boring to watch in a way, which is it's not what you expect out of these two teams, but I just think they're gonna counterpunch all day long.
Who benefits more from high scoring and who benefits more from low scoring?
Are the Golden Knights scoring? Because when it's low scoring and the Golden Knights aren't scoring, they're useless. And we've seen it. They lost to Minnesota 1-0 in overtime, then couldn't score in another game. Like, if it's 0-0 at the end of the second period, for the most part, the Golden Knights have lost the game already because they're never going to score. So in that case, I would say low scoring. But at the same time, if Colorado's not scoring, Vegas is in the game, which is where they want to be.
Colorado played into the third period a lot of games this year that were 1 or 2 goals, though. They are really comfortable in that situation.
Yep.
The only situation that I would say they're not very comfortable in is
trailing into the third.
Yeah, trailing going into the third. They had one win this year.
Yeah.
They had one win. And in Jared Bednar's tenure, they have like 15 wins in 5 years in that situation. Like they aren't a big comeback team.
Yeah,
their comeback happens in the second period or it doesn't happen.
They won't do it against Vegas either. The Golden Knights just don't allow it. It happened once. It was a Minnesota game. It was a nightmare. I don't really understand what happened. It's weird to me. But when the second you pull your goalie, just forget about it. You lost. Like I wouldn't even recommend pulling your goalie. Like you already lost.
Don't believe the Avs scored any 6-on-5 goals.
And the Golden Knights never give them up. And not only do they never give them up, they barely even let you shoot. Like they're ridiculous at 6-on-5.
Yeah. The Avs have been super bad at 6-on-5 because they haven't done it all year. So,
but can Vegas get to that point? That's to me the part that it seems so obvious. We'll get a lead going into the second. Yeah, well, okay, sure. How are they actually going to get there? I just have a hard time believing when you look at line by line. I don't know what the good matchup is for Vegas. Like, what if you get to pick the line? So you're DeBoer and I'm Bednar, and I put out their top. I put out McKinnon. What's the best response?
I would put out Stevenson, Stone, and Pacioretty, but DeBoer didn't this year.
No, he will probably go with Karlsson.
Yeah, he went with Karlsson all year. I was going through their matchups. It didn't go well.
It mutes any offense you're getting there. So when we say the X factor is Marchessault, if they're playing a majority of their minutes against McKinnon, forget them scoring at all. They're just going to be trying to survive. Then Stone doesn't have a good matchup because I think you probably throw Nichushkin out there against him to try and eat him up as much as you can. And I think that can work.
Boy, if Colorado can get away with of keeping Andre Burakovsky and Nathan McKinnon away from Mark Stone, if they're able to accomplish that,
I think they can.
This may not be a super long series.
You're kind of starting to see why I'm so nervous about this.
I mean, I I think I said a couple days ago that if there was no Max Pacioretty in this series, I had Colorado in 5.
Yeah.
Because I'm not worried about the goal scoring from Vegas really much at all.
We're drifting into this conversation anyway, so I'm going to need series predictions from both of you here.
Go ahead.
AJ, you're up.
I think I'm taking Colorado. I'll take Colorado in 6. With a slight chance at it being less than that. But I would be surprised if it got 7.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot. I don't know how Vegas is going to win twice in a row. I could see them getting, the only way I can see Vegas winning this series is if they win every other game starting with game 1. I just don't see them winning twice in a row. And because of that, it's real hard to pick them to win a series, understanding that they're behind the 8 ball tomorrow night. Like, yeah, they might be able to be the better team for the first 10 minutes because of the rust. And when's the last time Colorado actually played a playoff game? It's like August, a real playoff game against a real playoff team, that tries. Like, I think there's an option there for Vegas early in which case, if they can come home, if they're winning the odd numbered games, maybe they can steal the series. There's a path to victory if they can win the odd numbered games, specifically game 3. Game 3, the winner of game 3, I think has the massive advantage. If it's not Vegas, wrap it up. It's over.
Vegas will have 100% fan attendance.
Yeah.
Correct. So home ice advantage for the Avs, does it make a difference?
Yes.
That definitive yes.
Change matters. I think last change matters more so than fans. Like, give me that over fans any day.
Look good. The Avs are 19-0-1 in their last 20 home games.
Is that good?
I guess it's okay. I'm not sure.
So, and I believe their last loss was.
It was the Arizona nonsense game, right?
That was their last regulation loss. Their actual last loss was the Nathan McKinnon got tripped at center ice in overtime.
Oh, yeah.
Devon Taves' stick snapped in half in the crease, and Max Pacioretty got a free game winner. Yeah, the one that I was sitting there, it was 100 feet from me, and I was just sitting in disbelief watching it happen because I was so fixated on Devon Taves' stick flying into the corner randomly. I was like,
they had not lost much at home either. Like, that was the whole thing going in. Like, oh, they're a different beast at home, and then Vegas went in and was like, ha, laughable.
Well, and that's also like that's the story of all 3 of those teams. Is their home records were dominant this year, except against each other.
Yeah, you know why? Because the California teams didn't belong in this league.
Yeah,
like, I went to an NHL game a couple of days ago, and the Condors are better than the 3 California teams.
The amount of criticism that I took 3 weeks into the season because I had spent all offseason calling it the worst division, and it ended up being horrible.
It's not even close. Like, the Blues, the team that the Avs just beat in playoffs, was like the 23rd best team in the NHL. They're awful. They're terrible.
They weren't in
the playoffs. Like, easily in the playoffs. The 3 California teams are embarrassing. The Arizona can't get out of their own damn way and will never be able to get out of their own damn way. Like, and like some of the commenter just says on the side, like, for Vegas, all the good teams are leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, now what do we get? Edmonton, Vancouver, Seattle. Like, oh my God. Vegas is going to have 1,000 points and lose the first round again.
Oh, don't make me laugh.
Like, I just that's the whole thing. And like, maybe you guys view it differently. I don't know. The games between Vegas and Colorado, I feel like I put very little stock into them because all of them were weird.
Yep.
Some teams has 4 players. Other times we're playing in a fucking pond that's a wave pool. Like, the whole thing was a mess.
Wave pool.
It was.
Yeah, no, because if you look at where their matchups occurred and like the health and like the situations each of those teams were in, the only one of them that was close to like normal was the very last one.
Yep.
Where Vegas could have locked up the President's Trophy that night. And they had 15 players that night. Yeah.
And granted, it's helpful in Vegas's case to actually have 15 players sometimes because then they don't play all their shit players.
Yeah, then it's like, oh, the good guys get to play more often now.
Yeah, like, oh, let's play Mark Stone 22 minutes. Like, what a novel concept. The problem is then that means Pietrangelo plays like 30, and it's like, okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, 2 teams involved in the longest game in NHL history this year, so
Yeah.
technically.
God, that was so stupid. Did you guys go to that?
Oh, God, no, dude.
Oh, I wanted to so bad because I'm like, ooh, Tahoe, nice pictures. I'm going to make a new phone background. And then I was like, thank fucking God I didn't go to that.
The only reason that I'm not coming out to Vegas for this series is just because there's no point to traveling and covering the team.
I know.
It sucks. I'm like, so 2 years ago, I was the one that was supposed to cover Colorado Vegas when the whole San Jose debacle happened in Game 7. And I was so excited because Vegas is my city. Vegas is like, I go to Vegas to cover the team when the Avs are there. I have we each had cities, and he had San Jose, Dater at the time had San Jose, and I had Vegas, and Vegas got stolen from me. And now this year, there's no point in going and covering the team on the road because you're just going to sit on a Zoom call the whole time.
Except that it's fun watching hockey.
It's great to go and watch the game, but it's like, can I justify that to my employer? Hey, I need you to pay for air travel. I need you to pay for food and lodging for multiple days so I can go watch hockey.
Thanks a lot, Nuggets, you jerks.
Yeah.
Tuesday home game. What is that? Like, get this NBA bullshit out of here. I know you have a Nuggets hat on. Get this out of here. We finally have the series. Finally. We've been 3 years waiting for this. We finally have the series, and we have to wait an extra day because the damn Nuggets.
What doesn't make sense is that they have 2 days off.
Yep.
They should have.
Because the Nuggets.
No, I mean,
just play
the
Monday,
Nuggets,
Wednesday.
The Nuggets have 2 days off.
Yeah, well, that's stupid.
It's like, why?
I know. Well, the NBA, I don't even, whatever. Why are they playing on Sunday? Why are they playing tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't wait till Monday either.
It made no sense. But
I was going to go up there. I had the hotel booked right across from Ball. Is that Ball Arena?
Ball Arena now, yeah. I'm wearing a Manscaped shirt. I mean,
yeah, Balls Arena, like right across from there, and then they're like, yeah, Sunday's game 1. Okay, great. I guess I'm not going. Now I'm hoping for a game 7 so I can do the old fly up, go to the game, go back to the airport, sleep there, and fly home. I love doing that. It's the worst, but I love it.
Yeah.
Who needs a hotel room? Just be homeless.
Done that a couple of times.
Yeah, just be homeless. It's the best way.
The amount of complaints I get about his back after series like that.
Yeah. Set up the ring light in the middle of the airport. It's the best.
He takes a quick nap on the floor.
Yep. The Minnesota airport is great for that. It's just too big, man. You can always find space.
I had no interest. There was never even a thought of going to Minnesota. That was never even considered. Like, what city do you want to go to least? Like, the only city worse is the team you guys played.
St. Louis is pretty bad. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I went to school in Missouri. Everyone's from St. Louis, getting all excited about St. Louis. Like, that place is death.
Yeah. I've covered a bunch of games there, and it sucks. That building is so old.
Yeah. And then you come to Vegas and you're like, wow, look at how cool this place is. You go to St. Louis, you're like, they have an arch.
Yeah.
Speaking of balls, have you ever been up in the arch?
No.
Oh,
Fear of heights, man.
This little ball with 6 people. And if there's no windows and you're inside of a metal structure and you're in a ball, it is the creepiest thing I've ever been in.
This sounds like all of my phobias tied into one.
It was bad.
Between claustrophobia and fear of heights, I'm like, both
and
of
then
these
I got
sound
up
awful.
there and someone drew a dick in the snow.
Oh,
You could
classic.
see down. It was huge.
That's the best thing in St. Louis.
Well,
right
it
there.
was. I was like, wow, what a great tourist destination.
All right.
The fried ravioli is dope.
Come on. Don't give them credit for putting a good thing in a fryer. Like, no shit.
So,
The South gets credit for it all the time. All they do is throw shit in the fryer.
Yeah, they didn't invent the ravioli. Like, okay, churros. I'll give them credit. Like, no one ever thought to make a churro. They did it. They fried it. Good job. But like ravioli, we're like, yeah, these are phenomenal. What should we do? Put it in the fryer. Like, come on. Obviously.
It's still delicious.
Dude, they're like, I'm not giving. Who made the fried Oreo? They don't get. No city gets credit for that. Obviously, also a good idea.
I think
A great idea.
Yeah.
some high person gets credit.
Do
for
not
that,
give players credit for that. They get credit for one thing and one thing only. Those horses are awesome.
Oh,
The Clydesdales.
okay.
Those
If you're-
Budweiser horses, they're amazing.
I guess if you're a horse person, St. Louis might be okay. Anyway, we're a little off topic here. I think we're kind of winding down the show. Ken, any final thoughts on the series and anything you wanna plug that you're doing right now? Go for it.
I am terrified. I have been waiting for this moment for the Golden Knights to play the Avs in a series, and thank you for being healthy, because I didn't want to deal with, well, Rantanen's out, or well, I didn't want to play that game. Like, I'm happy they're healthy. I hope they stay healthy. I hope the Golden Knights stay healthy. I hope Pacioretty's at his full strength, because this is the moment for the Golden Knights to learn about themselves. They need to. This is the mirror. You're standing in front of the mirror. If you can't play with Colorado, you aren't what you say you are. They're not elite. They can have all the points they want. This is the moment. Do they have to win the series? Probably not. But they have to be competitive the entire way through. They have to push it. They have to look like they're there. You can't get into this series and not be the same level that Colorado is, because Colorado's not going to get much worse over the next few years. Vegas doesn't have a lot of room to change. They either have to blow this whole thing up, and there's a way to do that, and they might have had to do that had they lost last night. But this is the moment. And to be honest, the more I look into it, I talk to you guys, I talk to other people that have watched all these games, I just don't see how Vegas matches up. Like, I really don't. I don't like any of the 4-line matchups. Pick a line, I think Colorado's better. Pick a pair, I think Colorado's better. Like, the goalie, I like Fleury better a lot more than you guys like Grubauer. But aside from that, and I don't even like the coaching matchup, because I think DeBoer's too stubborn to change. He's going to do what he does. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, we got problems. And I don't know that it's going to work, because I don't think they're going to be able to play slow and boring enough to be able to deal with how they need to win this series. I think this series should be like the most boring hockey you've ever seen in your life if Vegas wants to win it. Chip it in, let them come out, set up in the neutral zone, and just wait until they bang their heads into the wall one time hard enough that they hand you a 2-on-1. That's the only way I think Vegas wins. And I just don't see it happening. I think Vegas is going to make way too many mistakes.
We didn't really talk much about the coaching matchup, but I'm curious to see 2 years later how DeBoer-Bednar head-to-head goes, because I think DeBoer got the better of him a couple years ago, but he also had the better roster. And I think Bednar has the better roster this time around. And so it'll be really interesting to see how these guys go X's and O's against each other.
My biggest issue is I just don't know what DeBoer has to do. Like, I don't know what matchups he can be looking to get. I don't know what opportunities he could be looking to create some of, good opportunities for Vegas. Like, really, their best bet is just be clean. And like, I can coach the team and tell you, don't fuck up in the neutral zone. Like, it's not that hard. So that's where I don't know what options he has, where I think the options are endless on the other side, because the Golden Knights are going to run out a line that is awful every single night, and they're going to play them for the first shift. The first shift of the series is probably going to be Ryan Reeves against Nathan McKinnon. How stupid is that? That's what it's going to happen, because they're dumb.
I tell you, with 10-5 allowed at Ball Arena, it might be really, really loud on that first shift.
It probably will be. I don't know. They've started Reeves literally every single game. The only time the fourth line has not started in the series was the day that Reeves was out on COVID, but not really, which I think is a hell of a show of how much people cared about Ryan Reeves, was that he wasn't even listed on the COVID list and then missed the game for COVID, and everyone's like, whatever, not a big deal. Yet they come back with Game 7 and they start them again. And please, Avalanche, please. I ask one thing. I want you to lose every single game, but please, one time in this series, take the opening face-off, embarrass that fourth line, and score immediately so that I can ask the question of how dumb it is that you're starting these friggin' morons.
Game 1 sounds like a fun time.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Just do that immediately.
Yeah. I mean, the Vegas can still win the game if it happens. I would still prefer that, but it's like, I just don't understand why they're doing that. People keep asking for Cody Glass. Like, stop it. He's not good.
Certainly hasn't lived up to expectations.
I've been saying it for 4 years, and everyone's like, no, the scouts.
I tell you, we talk a lot about how the Avs got screwed in that draft lottery, but
what?
Expansion Vegas getting the 6th pick?
Well, to be honest, that's the best thing that's ever happened to the Golden Knights front office, because they would have picked Cody Glass before Makar and Heiskanen.
That'd have been something.
Well, the Avs had Nolan Patrick number 1 on their board that year, so
sometimes
a lot
things
of
work out.
blessings in disguise ended up happening there.
But I would rather be in Colorado's spot. Oh no, we have to pick Cale Makar, and instead Vegas has Cody Glass and then trade Nick Suzuki.
It's just rough to see the 3 picks right in front of them be Miro Heiskanen, Cale Makar, and Elias Pettersson.
And beyond it, I'm telling you, they would not have picked any of those 3. That's the biggest issue to me. They just wouldn't. I know the guys they like to pick. I know they wouldn't have picked Makar because they hate kids that go back to college. They do not like doing that because they don't trust it. They've seen it too many times. They just don't trust it. And I don't blame them for that. If Cale Makar didn't want to be on the Avs, he wouldn't. That's terrifying with your 4th overall pick. Like, you can really say, I'll go to college for 4 years. This seems like fun. It could have.
It would have been wild to watch a top 5 pick do that.
I mean, one of these days, one of them is going to do it. It's probably going to be Ottawa's pick eventually, and I'm not doing that. But the rules are a joke. I mean, the rule system is just terrible. That a player can go to college and then he's got like 4 months or something to decide whether he wants to sign with that team. It makes absolutely no sense. And especially on a protected, they should at least have a protection. But then again, the draft is stupid in the first place, and that should be abolished anyway. Just let teams bid on the players.
Oh, boy.
We have a salary cap.
You're opening the can of worms there.
Yeah. I don't understand the draft. It just seems like, imagine any other job in the world where you come out of college or out of wherever you're at, and they're like, you must go to Edmonton. I'm like, yeah, no, I'd rather stab myself.
All right, so you'd pull Lindros. I see.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of. Yeah, probably. It makes no sense. Like, how are we forcing these guys to go to a specific place? It just doesn't make any sense. When we have a salary cap, we have something in place that protects us from overpaying 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds. It doesn't make sense to me.
I like the draft. It's fun.
Yeah, I enjoy the draft as well.
The lottery's coming up, right?
I don't enjoy that part of it.
You know what I actually don't give a shit about is the lottery because I don't have to.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I don't. We cared once, and it was like awful.
I sat through watching the greatest odds of the number 1 overall pick land on 2 4th overall picks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're both going to play in this series.
We had 10% the one time we were in the lottery. We had 10%. And we threw this party, and I bought like 7,000 ping pong balls, and we all had ping pong balls in this bar. They're still mad at me. Actually, the bar closed down during the pandemic. Shout out to that bar. And so then we lost the lottery, and everyone was throwing the ping pong balls, and it was really bad. And then we got Cody Glass.
Yep. that's the NHL for you, I guess.
Gotta love it.
I know you have your name down there, Ken, but let the people listening to the podcast version know where they can find you and all your awesome stuff.
I mean, I feel like if you're watching this, you have a feeling that I work or call my site SinBin. It's like over here, over here, over here, over here. Like somebody was making fun of that on me on the Periscope not too long ago. Yeah, the website's sinbin.vegas. We don't have a .com because it just seems boring and not cool enough for us. So we .vegas, SinBin Vegas on Twitter. I tell everybody before these series start, and I'll tell Colorado fans the same. Like, if you disagree with anything that I said, like vehemently, and hate me for it, don't follow me because it's just going to get worse as the series goes on. It really is. If you're like, yeah, I kind of agree with a lot of the shit he's saying, then you could probably follow me and you'll feel good about it. But the things I think the Golden Knights do well, I'm going to say this is what they need to do well. And I think the Golden Knights need to play a very boring series. I really do. I think they need to just make it horrible to watch. And so I'm going to be applauding every time that it's horrible to watch.
All right.
So you know who to blame.
He wants dead puck hockey.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, let's go back to early 2000s. It'll be great.
As long as we're going back to 2001.
We might be. I wish I felt better about the Golden Knights' chances of winning this. I haven't felt good about it all season. The second they put him in the division, I haven't felt good about it. I knew this was coming. I thought maybe Vegas blows it and we don't ever get to see the series because that happens every damn year. Somebody blows it. Last year it was you guys. This year or the year before it was the refs. I thought it was going to be Vegas this time. We're here now. I don't know. I can't in good conscience pick the Golden Knights. Like, I wish I could. I just can't. I think they're going to lose in 6. I think it could be 5. It wouldn't shock me if it's 4.
That would shock me.
Yeah,
Vegas is just too good for that.
Like Sunday's game. Would it shock you if Colorado comes out and just smokes Vegas early in Sunday's game?
No.
So okay, that's one. Now,
to be honest with you,
right behind
it will never shock me.
I don't know. I think they can win them all because if Vegas comes back 2-0, all the pressure's on Vegas. If Colorado plays a good game, it's 3-0 and Vegas will crumble.
Fleury will find a way to steal at least one.
I don't know about that. He's going to be out of there if it's 3-0.
Maybe it'll be Leonard that can steal one.
Yeah, it's going to be on him,
yeah.
The Avs find a way to get goalied at least once usually. So
the Golden Knights make bad goalies look real good, so I'm interested to see what they make Grubauer look like because I don't think he's bad. They made Thatcher Demko look like the greatest player of all.
Earned him a fantastic contract.
God, and watching the game, if you're like, when did he make a save? Like, I still think that about Talbot. I don't remember him making a save.
Yeah, sometimes good goalies make it look easy, though, to be fair.
No. Sometimes bad shooters make it look good.
Also true.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're going to wrap up the show for today. Thank you for hanging out, chat. Thank you so much, Ken, for coming on and chatting with us. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Chat, we will be back tomorrow night to give you our usual post-game podcast. Again, hope you all come out to the bar. Come hang out with us there. Come say hi to me if you see me there. Follow Ken at SinBin Vegas because they make dope content on the Vegas side of things. Until next time, we'll talk to you all later.